I watched their faces change when she walked in. No titles, no grand announcements, just her, Emilia, the girl they hadn't seen in years, the daughter they thought they'd lost, the one they had replaced with me. Queen Rosalind stepped down from the dais as if in a trance. Her eyes shimmered with disbelief, every step filled with a mix of fear and aching hope. King Vincent followed, slower but steady. His hand found the Queen's as they stood just feet away from her. Emilia looked back at them with uncertainty, her posture still unsure, her memory still fragmented. But her eyes, those eyes knew them, even if her mind didn't.
My child,
the Queen whispered.
I don't remember you,
Emilia said quietly.
But I know I've missed you.
The Queen collapsed into her arms, and for the first time I looked away, because that moment was theirs. We spent the next several days in a strange space between joy and confusion. Emilia underwent tests. Not cruel, not cold, but necessary. Historians, physicians, and scholars all examined what she remembered, how she spoke, what she knew without knowing how she knew it. Everything pointed to the same conclusion. She was the real Princess Emilia. Her return caused ripples through the palace. Servants wept. Guards saluted with trembling hands. The nobles, those ever-watchful critics, whispered behind doors. Some were grateful, others concerned, a few cautious, but none could deny the truth. The rightful heir had returned. The King and Queen addressed the court in a private session. I stood at the back of the hall. Emilia stood beside her parents, uncertain but willing.
this is our daughter,
the Queen said, voice ringing clear.
She has returned to us not as the child who disappeared, but as the woman she became while we searched.
There were no gasps, no objections, just stunned, reverent silence. Later that evening, Emilia found me in the garden, the same one I used to sneak into just to feel like myself again. She sat beside me on the marble bench and stared out at the moonlit fountain.
I'm sorry,
she said after a long while. You don't need to apologize, I replied.
you wore my name.
I never asked for it. She nodded.
Still, you wore it better than I could have.
That struck something in me. Something bittersweet. Because she wasn't wrong. And yet, she wasn't right either. We spent hours talking after that. About Lysantel, about Nelson's hood. About what it felt like to not know who you are, and what it meant to finally find it again. She told me she still didn't remember everything, but she remembered the sound of the Queen's lullaby, the scent of the garden after rain, the way her father used to lift her when she cried.
Feelings,
she said.
not memories.
But feelings are a kind of truth, I told her. Sometimes the strongest kind. I expected the days that followed to be heavy. I expected distance or resentment. But instead, the Queen surprised me. She asked me to remain, not as a replacement, not as a shadow, but as myself.
Emilia has her own path,
she told me.
and so do you. You gave us hope when we had none. You gave this kingdom stability when it faltered. You reminded us what truth looks like.
You could have cast me out, I said.
I still might,
she replied, smiling. We both laughed, but there were tears in her eyes. They gave me my own chamber again, different this time. Not part of the royal wing, not the same place I had lived when I was pretending. But not far. Close enough to visit, far enough to breathe. My role shifted, no longer Princess Emma, but something else, something stronger. I became an advisor, a sister figure, a link between palace and people, between nobility and honesty. I didn't belong by blood, but I belonged by choice. And so did Emilia. She began to reclaim pieces of her past slowly. A song, a scent, a turn of phrase. Sometimes she cried. Sometimes she smiled. She didn't try to become the girl she was. She chose to grow into the woman she had become. We were never rivals. We were never enemies. We were reflections of each other, mirrors cracked by fate and pieced back together by grace. And as I stood beside her on the balcony overlooking the kingdom we both had touched, one through birth, one through accident, I knew this. We were both real.